thought it was quite poignant that I did something on the Queen this weekend, and I won't be paying my respects to her any more than she'd pay her respects to me if I actually died. So I'm actually at a really important place here now, Gallinite Estate, and you can read up on the Gallinite Estate. I don't believe in nobility for one reason: it creates social division, puts the 1% above us all, and the Queen's on the side of the 1%, and the royal family are. Remember that little thing on the front page of the newspaper about the Queen telling us selfish if we weren't having the vaccine? Anyway, I'm going to tell you a bit about the Gallinite Estate. Now, all that's left here are the original stable blocks. The house was knocked down to be rebuilt and was never rebuilt. Now, this is so important, this site, for the reason is the chap at the time must be the name Knight, was actually the second in command to Cromwell. Now, when Cromwell died, he was the culprit who put Charles II back on the throne. He was the one who went down to London or wherever Charles II was located and asked him and pleaded with him to come back on the throne and be king again. Now, I think we've all been sort of brought up with the English Civil War, but it wasn't really a civil war. It was just the posh boys having a fight against the posh boys to see who could get command of the country. It wasn't about the people. Cromwell was quite an evil person. I'm sure the people in Ireland will tell you all about that. I think he was a very religious person, but you can quite see if you read up on this Gallinite Estate and the person second in command to Cromwell with the name Knight, he was not really there for the people. Come on, if anybody believes that. But it's really got on my noggins this week with the Queen dying. But I've heard a lot of rumours for the last 3 years she's dead, but when I look at the picture of the Queen shaking the PM's hand and the PM's twice the size, come on, do you really believe that picture? Now, the current PM's 5'3" and the Queen would have been about 5'3" before she started to shrink a bit, so even if she shrunk a bit she'd still be 5 foot versus Liz's 5'3". So I think that's a doctored picture, and if you look at her in the Paddington film, The Queen, it just shows you what CGI can do. Computer generated images. Like I said, for all we know, the Queen could have been dead for years. She could have been dead for a few months, and they just, you know, we never know nowadays. That CGI is just so forward now, so unbelievable. But the problem is now they're trying to push us into more grieving, more negativity, and then they're going to install a king on the throne, King Charles III, very poignant, isn't it? And he'll become the new king, and Charles has been pushing the climate change crazy stuff. But the thing is, Charles is pushing it and keeps flying around on his private jet around the world. How can you take King, and it's Charlie, isn't it? Because he's a right Charlie. How can you take King Charlie seriously when he's pushing climate change, and he'll jump in his private jet and he'll go and lecture us somewhere off around the world about climate change? The man is raving bonkers. But just to leave you a little thought, I'm not a left-winger at all. I'm patriotic, but I believe for my country, not for an individual. It's about us, not them. Land of hope and glory, or whatever you want. So I'm patriotic for my country. I'm not patriotic to be ruled over and fallen to royalty, I think it should be the end of royalty with the Queen. We should be moving on to a new chapter, and I think what we should be doing is we should be having MPs that come from a constituency. They are independents, they don't belong to a political party, and they represent each community. So you can only be nominated for a community if you live in that community, you've lived in it for a few years at least, and you're going to represent that community 100%. And then I believe if that happened and there were all independents representing their own constituency, they could vote for the best Prime Minister to represent us, and we do not need a king or a queen. I only kneel to one person or bow my head to one person, and that's God. I don't bow my head to anybody else, whatever title you may think you have. So that's just my take on the Queen and the funeral coming up on Monday. I think there's going to be a minute's silence on Sunday night, and they're going to ramp up the fear porn over the next 2 or 3 days, and it's all part of the agenda. It started with COVID, then moved on to the Ukraine, then went to energy, and the next psycho-op is the Queen, and that's why I think she's been dead for some time. Whether it's been months or years, I don't know, but I don't believe, you know, that she's just suddenly died. And I think it's being used for maximum leverage. The elite are just pure evil, and as far as I'm concerned, the royal family are the cherry on top of the elite. So you can lump it or like it as far as I'm concerned if it upsets you.